Okay, ma. We'll start the class for today. Okay. So for today's class, we are going to start with chapter 7. Okay. See, this session goes out well. We can very easily finish this entire chapter 7. Okay. From your exams viewpoint, there are some 5 to 6 questions. Minimum 5, maximum you can get some 8 questions. அதுக்கு மேல expect பண்ணாதீங்க because chapter 8 and 9 is having more weightage. So how we are going to go with the topic? See, first this chapter will have mainly of direct questions, not something like demand or chapter 4 where you will be having indirect questions. Majority of the questions are straight question, so don't think that it will be difficult to answer. But before going to answer the question, you must be in a reason to find out, or you must be in a position to find out the concept, right? So there are three major functions of fiscal policy: allocation, distribution, and stabilization. Irka screen la parunga, there will be three major functions. Now listen, of these three function, one function alone is macro, the other two is micro. Okay, just read out the lines: allocation, distribution, and stabilization. Which is the macro? Because last time there is a question on this one. Idhula or question kandipa ketirundanga. That's why I am checking out with you. No. Irka? See, just look at this concept. Allocation means what? You will be having money with you and you will be giving it to different industry. Allocation, you are having the money and you are going to give that money or apportion the money from one person to the other person. That is allocation. Distribution is, once you receive the money, you are going to give it to some other person. It is another name to allocation. Stabilization means different. See, stabilization is, you may not know the income of inflow of money, so you have to predict how much amount you are going to get and how you are going to have a fixed money to be kept for as a reserve. So this one alone is macro, whereas these two was micro. Last time there is a question on this area. Among the following, which comes under macroeconomics? Allocation, distribution, stabilization. கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமாக கேட்கணும். ஆப்ஷன் 4 was A and B. நம்ம வழக்கமாக என்ன பண்ணுவோம், to be on a safer note, if you don't know the answer, A and B ரெண்டுமே இருக்க வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. So we'll click A and B. கரெக்டா? Even if I am at your position, I will do this. But make sure stabilization is the macroeconomic one. Now, just have a basic idea about what does fiscal policy is all about. யாரோ கேட்டிங்களா ஃபிஸ்கல் பாலிசினா ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்டு இல்லை ஃபினான்ஷியல் டெசிஷன் ஏதோ சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா? வெரி சிம்பிள். ரெவன்யூ தான், பட் இட் இஸ் ரெவன்யூ டு தி கவர்மெண்ட். See, the term public here refers to government. Okay, so how the government is getting revenue, whether it is doing the business activity and getting the revenue, or it is imposing taxes on the customer, sorry, imposing taxing on the individual to get the revenue. Which is the major component? Listen, see, fiscal policy, wait, I repeat this once again. Fiscal policy is nothing but it is referring to public revenue. Public revenue is how the government is getting the income from the country. Okay, சிம்பிளா ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் எப்படி இன்கம் ஏர்ன் பண்றாங்க, அதுதான் வந்து ஃபிஸ்கல் பாலிசி. Two major types of income: whether they must get the revenue from doing business activity, or they must impose taxes on the individuals and get the revenue, which the government is doing. கேக்குறது புரியுதா? Give the answer please. Ma, listen. This is the major area. Right, listen. See, the major role of every government is to maintain this one. Okay. Just look at the 3 lines which has been highlighted. First, there must be growth in the country on terms of economics. Economica, your country must grow. Number 2, there should be no unemployment and there should be stable price. Correct? Idu moonume irundhudu appadina your GDP will increase so that the people will enjoy high standard of living. Correct illaya? What is the price of gold today in Chennai? It recorded the highest price today. Theriyuma? Stable price irukliya. What does the term stable price means? The prices should remain at a constant level. But why gold prices keep on increasing? Abundant source. Ma, listen, very simple. See, as of today, see, it is something per sovereign. So 8 grams on the 8 grams. It is for the first day it has crossed something 70,000 today in Chennai. Right. Listen. See, the government might say different answers for increase in price. Okay. What's the date today? One second. Just give me a second, wait. Today date is 12/4/2025. Okay. One second. So it is 7. It is 70K. Okay, just go some 1 year back. It is something close to 54K. It has never crossed 54,000 last year. How much increase in the past 1 year? 16,000 by 54,000. It is nearly 30% increase. Correct? Whether gold is an essential commodity, luxury commodity. Everyone, you should also say the answer. They have the right to, they only have the right to say the answer. Yeah. Necessary da. Luxury. Okay, but why this product has been having a more demand? He is going to international economics. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is one part of the answer, but that alone was not the entire reason for increase in this price. Enna value increase agudhu? Ma, romba simple. As we have studied in economics, when price is increasing, demand what will happen? demand should decrease. Okay, but here what is happening? But what is happening here? Correct. யாரோ சொன்னீங்களே. See, gold, it is a luxury. So Veblen effect. So what happened? Okay, ma. Now we will proceed with fiscal policy. Listen, when there is increase in price, there will be a decrease in quantity demand. That is what we have studied. But for Veblen goods, அங்க கேக்குதான்னு பாத்துக்கோங்க. But for Veblen goods alone, what will happen? When price is increasing means the demand will also increase. Classic example is luxury goods. Seriya? But a government cannot simply see that the price might increase. Since it is necessary, we cannot reduce this. Every government is having a role to play. So what the government should do? They should be making rules to ensure that they should be making rules to ensure this price has to be stable. Okay, so this is one major area which has to be addressed. Then comes employment. When will the employment arise? Employment எப்ப அதிகமா இருக்கும்? When will an employment will increase in any country? First, the people should have sufficient skill. That can be done by giving them quality education. Second, even if they have the education, they must have the place to showcase their skills. So the government must create sufficient employment opportunity. Only if these two has been done, you will get the growth. Correct? It shouldn't be studied from this way to the other, but it should flow from stable price to this. Okay, but what we have been taught was, if there is growth, there will be employment, and if there is employment, there will be stable price. No, it should be the other way. Now listen. So to ensure that the government is achieving its objective, it is going to done by making use of three major area. First, defense. Why the government is ensuring or paying more amount on spending more amount on defense? To protect our country from the neighboring country or from any enemy country. So to safeguard us from the other country. Judicial system, to give some equal justice to every person without being suffered. Third one is what we have been studying mostly, maintenance of highly beneficial institutions. Okay, see, some 10 years back it was IIT, but as of now, which is the major institute? Institute of Eminence. This plays a major role. So the government is giving some more attention to upgradation of skills. And the Institute of Eminence, see, some 10 years back it was only IIT and some frequent institutes that is holding an upper hand in any field in which they are giving the education. What the government has done after 2014 was, they have created a separate forum where any college or any university, if they are meeting their guidelines, they will be called as Institute of Eminence. All IITs and IIMs, they comes under IOE. Even some major medical institutions comes under this. So they are providing for upliftment of skills. Now listen, there will be construction of road, harbors, infrastructure. Everything is going to give benefits to the public, but also it gives benefits to the industry. So it is having a double benefit, a dual benefit of benefits to the individual as well as to the industry. That's why the government is paying more importance. Now listen, right at the time when we started the class, inga paathom illaya, three major functions. Okay, now listen, there are some 2 years back they asked this question. After that they haven't tested this. Who has given this three area? Richard Musgrave. He has given this definition, and it is based on this book, Theory of Public Finance. Okay, he has given this three function. But in your exam, listen, they haven't asked question on allocation, distribution, stabilization. That interconnecting word, right hand side, there are some three different lines. Okay, the questions might either fall in this way or it can be in the other way also. So make sure that when you are studying this, make sure you interconnect one with the other. Okay. Then comes, as we have already discussed, microeconomics is dealing with allocation and distribution. Macro is stabilization. Then there is some explanation on each and every topic. See, ours is an objective type paper, so there is no need to describe or explain the concept. Okay, make sure you understand the concept. Questions indirecta ketangana, you must have the capacity to understand which particular function the question belongs to. Once you recollect that is very much sufficient. Now listen, there is only one major area which has to be discussed under this. See, listen. Allocation abna enadhu? Standard definition of economics. Resources are limited, wants are unlimited. So with the scarce resources, how we are going to make efficient availability of resources to each and every person. Okay. See, there is scarce resources. Scarce resources, and we are going to allocate. Okay, this is what allocation function is all about. Then comes specific term called economic efficiency. Okay, now listen. Efficiency means what? How we are going to perform a task in a better way. Economics is how we are going to make these sources available to each and every person. So that's just a combination of two items. Just read out the lines. It is a situation where all resources are allocated to serve each person in the best way by minimizing the waste. அவ்வளோதான். Okay, there is no new concept. இது உனக்கே தெரியும். Okay, but there might be a question. Economic efficiency aims to reduce the waste and allocate in a best way. அவ்வளோதான். You might have a question like this. Okay, with that allocation function comes to close. But in your institute study material, apart from this, they have given something called it as market failure. Okay, listen. Market failure is very simple. A market is there in place to satisfy wants to the customer and goods by the seller. So ஒரு மார்க்கெட்டில் யாரெல்லாம் இருப்பாங்க, ஒரு பையர் செல்லர் இருப்பாங்க. From a buyer's viewpoint, he will be paying the price for certain goods. From a seller viewpoint, he will be selling the goods at a price. Okay, but in some cases the market will fail. So when will the market will become failure is only for reason. No. First, see, when there is imperfect information, imperfect competition and incomplete market. Wait, now listen, and there is one major concept called as externality. Externality வச்சு ரொம்ப அதிகமாக questions கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Even for the last time, there are some 2 questions on this topic. Okay, now listen, just have an idea. I will explain this each and everything in a detailed manner. You will have a question, right? Now listen. What is the role of government? What is the role of government in providing the maximum benefit to the customer or maximum benefit to the citizen? அதான் இங்கே இருக்கும். Produce the economic goods through legislation, competitive policy, licensing and regulating. இதெல்லாமே நமக்கு புதுசாக தெரியும். It is not at all new. It is what you have studied here. Economic growth and stable price. How the government is maintaining a stable price and achieving the economic growth? The government will use any of these 4 activity. Practically சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னா, there is something called as Competition Act, FERA Act. If any foreign company, if they are going to start up a business in India, they have to get some permission, licensing. இதெல்லாம் இருக்கு இல்லையா? Why the government is doing this? The government is doing this first to protect the local customers, to protect the local industry person, number 1. Number 2 is to ensure that they are not selling unquality products in India and thereby they are going to get some more profits. So இதை செக் பண்ணுறதுக்காக தான் வச்சுருக்காங்க. If the government is very clear in this, any person who is entering into India, they have to follow the guidelines issued by the government so that the government will feel safe that the product is of very good quality and it is not going to harm the citizens. Okay, இதுதான் மேஜரான ஏரியா. Now listen. Allocation function comes to close, then comes redistribution. See, redistribution is only one. It is related to for whom should the economy produce goods. Classic example. See, just take an example of Maruti Suzuki cars. Who are the target customers? Middle income people. To the extent their maximum budget of car will be less than 20 lakhs. Okay, so they will be in a position to produce more cars. Correct? Their profit margin will be low. Right? Just compare Maruti Suzuki with Rolls-Royce. Whether Rolls-Royce sell to each and every person? No. The target customers was very few, but the profit will be very high. பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? So before entering into the market, they must have a study. To which customer are we going to sell our goods, and what will be the demand and how we can get the profit. The same work, instead of car manufacturer, how the government is going to do this. That is what is going to be seen here. ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் ரீடிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா எதை பேஸ் பண்ணி இன்கம் ரீடிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணுவாங்க? ஒரே ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் தான். Now listen. Based on equality of income, security to the people and wealth and opportunity. If you could understand this, you can very easily write this. Income tax படிச்சிருக்கீங்க இல்லையா? See, income tax is very simple. how income is being charged? Higher the income, okay. So income tax, higher the income, higher will be the tax. We used to call this as progressive tax. It is there in the syllabus, that's why I am taking this, don't worry. Wait, just give me a second. Just give me a second. Wait, it's not working. Listen, this higher the income, higher will be the tax is nothing but progressive tax. Progressive means what? When there is income, there will be high tax. If there is decrease in income, you will be paying a lower tax. Okay, so that is what has been the government is charging. Classic example, enga solunga papa. What has came in the recent budget by government of India? They used to say up to 12 lakhs you need not pay tax. No, it is not right. Listen, very simple. It is not up to 12 lakhs you need not pay tax. No. Up to 12 lakhs you are being given tax exemption. But to avail that exemption, if your income is crossing 4 lakhs, sorry, not 4 lakhs or 3.5 lakhs, I am not sure about the exact amount. First you must file the return within the due date. I think it's 3.5 lakhs if I am not wrong. Unless you file the return, you won't get that option. Number 2, even though if your income is some close to 12 lakhs, you must provide sufficient document that your income is having. You must give some documentary evidence of your income. Unless you provide these two, you are not in a position to get the exemption. So make sure this is in mind. Okay. Now listen, that is what has been given here. Okay. Then comes stabilization. Stabilization நம்ம என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கோம்? It is macro. Correct? Macro is done by which person? Government. Okay. What is the major role of every government? Unless you have a stable and low inflation, the government is performing very well in fiscal policy. Okay, every government intention, not only in India, throughout the world, the major idea of any government is to have the inflation at the lowest level possible. Okay, if they are going to achieve this, then all other activity or all other planned expenses will come into play. They can very easily achieve the target. Okay, last time there is a question. Stagflation is the combination of stagnation is the combination of dash and dash. It is nothing but inflation and unemployment. Listen, see, unemployment, what will happen to the society? It is not going to give some benefits to the society. Or the company work பண்றாரு அப்படினா is rendering his time and efforts for the benefit of the company. If it is not being employed, what will happen? His services will be unutilized. So there will be a stagnation. அதுதான் ஸ்டாக். இன்ஃப்ளேஷன் வந்து கட் பண்ணி எடுத்தது தான் ஃப்ளேஷன். So that is what stagflation. Okay. Then comes the most important area which many of you have told with reference to petrol price. Right? Not only with petrol price. யாரோ சொன்னீங்களே recent tariff system with USA. Sir, India is too much dependent on America. That's why any increase in price is causing reverse effect to the India அப்படின்னு சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா? That is what we used to call it as contagion effect. See, it is not only with one country. See, India is exporting to almost some 70 or 80 countries. Okay, but since even though we have a very good export, why our balance of payment is very less is due to high amount of imports. See, the value of exports is very low as compared against the value of imports. See, ours is a highly populated country, and our major foreign transaction goes only with petrol or crude oil. That's where our major drawback comes in, right? See, our country is very good in exporting certain goods. No other country is having the upper hand. Classic example is jute. India is the highest producer with respect to exporting of jute. I think only some 2 years back Bangladesh has overtaken us. Up to 2020, India is the largest exporter of jute throughout the entire world. Okay, see, we have very good export, but since our country is highly populated, we are having a very high amount of import of crude oil. That's where our foreign reserve is having a great impact. Now listen, how the government is going to achieve the stabilization function. Okay, first in the rendu point parunga. This is what has been most frequently asked in exam. You know this answer. How we are going to balance the payment in international currency. Okay, do you know the major change which the government has done after 2019 by the current government, which has been in the second term? See, any payment made to crude oil, we normally used to make payment in US dollar. Okay, I think in 2019 or 20, I'm not sure about the exact date. From that year onwards, the payment has been made in not in rupees. No, our currency is not at all equal to them. We are making payment in Riyadh, I think in Dubai currency. So there is a huge amount of savings in US dollar to our country. Okay, that has been done some 3 or 4 years back, and that is the main reason why your dollar, even though there is increase in dollar price, your petrol prices are remaining at a standstill. Okay, you should be knowing this if you are in accounting background. Okay, now listen. See, fiscal policy is related to public revenue. Monetary policy, it is with supply to, it is with reference to interest and rates. Okay, so interest and rate yaar determine பண்ணுவா? Who is going to determine the interest rate in India? RBI. So monetary policy is normally having a major control by RBI. Fiscal policy is by Government of India. In the difference தெரிஞ்சாலே you can very easily get some answer. Okay, now listen, the most important area. Last 3 terms, each and every term we had a question on this one. Just take some 2 minutes and write this. The reason is very simple. Ma'am, there is no need to memorize this, but if you understand the concept, you can very easily write this in exam. Just assume the scenario, there is a recession in country. Recession is nothing but downfall in the growth. Okay, so when there is downfall in growth, what will happen to each and every individual? Don't think from the government viewpoint. Just assume you are a person working in a company, there is a recession. Simple. Recession agudhu appadina, just assume it to the worst scenario, you are getting your pay at a lower price. For example, if you are earning some 80,000, your company is saying that you will be receiving only 50,000 for the next 5 or 6 months until the economy is going to proceed further. Now what will you do? There are 2 options. First, if you got the sufficient offer, you will leave that company and go to some other company. If you don't have the other offer, you have to accept what the company is giving. Okay, now what is happening to you? Your income is reducing. Once your income is getting reduced, what you will do? Will you spend on essential items or you go for luxury items? You will focus morely on essential items. So it is indirectly saying what it is saying to you. There is less amount of money with you. Correct? That is what recession is all about. So this is what from your point you are going to say. Government enna பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படினா, from a government viewpoint, if there is a recession, they know that the people are not having money with them. So what they will do is, they will increase the expenditure and they will reduce the taxes. Okay, see, increasing the government expenditure and reducing the taxes, it will be making sure that it will increase the flow of money into the society. Okay, this is what the government will do. If the government is doing this, means there will be more loans to the industry. Okay, once the company is getting more loan, they will increase the business, and once the business is being increased, there will be more profit, and if there is more profit, you will get the salary. Correct? So the government, what they will do during recession, they will decrease the taxes and increase the expenditure. இதோடைய opposite case அப்படியே இருக்கும். If there is inflation, if there is an expansion time, the government will increase the taxes and decrease the expenditure. இது எதுக்கு வந்து ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுத்து உங்களுக்கு சொன்னேன் அப்படின்னா, last 2 terms, one time there is a question on recession, one time there is a question on inflation இருந்தது. Last 2 terms you had this question. question எப்படி இருக்கும்? During times of inflation, the government may dash taxes and dash expenditure. Subdivision A, increase, decrease, decrease, increase அப்படின்னு இருக்கும். So just assume you are writing in the exam and you will be having n number of questions. You cannot memorize and you cannot recollect. So recession ஆகும்போது first என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க கவர்மெண்ட்னா, they will reduce the taxes and they will increase the expenditure. If you know any one concept, you can answer the other one also. This is how you have to recollect. Okay. Now listen. Central and state finance, which we have discussed right before the class. Who has given this concept? It is given by the same person, Richard Musgrove. Now listen. Now I think if you are starting with chapter 4 or 6, chapter 6, there are some calculation of GDP. Central Statistical Organization, one at the state level and one at the central level. So when the government is going to create a fiscal policy, the central government will collect one data and the state government will give data for their own state. So there will be 2 sets of government, one at the national level and the other at the regional level. Okay, now listen. This is what the major area which needs to be discussed. Okay, now listen. Central government, they perform 2 major functions, or will start from the state government. State government will perform only allocation. Okay, state government will perform only allocation activity, whereas central government will perform stabilization and distribution. Okay, see, it is nothing called as which government is having an upper hand. It is based on the Constitution of India. Okay, see, there are 3 lists: union list, state list and concurrent list. Union list, everyone know, it belongs to central government. State list belongs to each and every state government. Okay, and the third list is, it is having a combined effect of parliament and state legislature assemblies. Okay, so in the end, in the event of any conflict in the concurrent list, who is having the upper hand? The law passed by the center prevails. So it means that central government is having the upper hand in those type of transactions which is found under concurrent list. Okay, as we have discussed with reference to an exam, education is in concurrent list as of today. That's why we couldn't get the relaxation in that exam. So just have an idea why we couldn't get through that line. Now listen. There is one major area which every state government is earning revenue. See, we know this after implementation of GST. Your revenue is not with you. It will be given to the central government, and the central government will share the portion of revenue to each and every government. But apart from this, each and every government is having the power to collect taxes on certain items. The state governments can levy taxes on land and building, minerals, electricity, land revenue, excise on certain items, right, with reference to our state alone. Okay, just listen. There has been increase in property tax, water tax, right? It is totally getting into the state government revenue. And most importantly, excise duty. My excise and customs is there, but excise duty has been merged into GST, correct? But certain items, the state government is having an exclusive authority to collect the amount. They are even now, they are charging excise duty. Why the government is charging more money on task mark? It is belonging to state government revenue. Okay, so just have an idea about why you are studying this. Now listen. This is our institute study material. I think I am not sure about the exact percentage of the current year. See, if you are receiving 100 rupees in GST, only 59 rupees will be with the central government. Balance 41%, it will be shared to the entire states across the country. Okay, since Jammu and Kashmir, it has been transferred into Union Territory, right? 1% of the share, it should be given to the Union Territory. The same question has been asked some 2 years back, right at the time when Jammu and Kashmir has been converted into Union Territory. In the question ketanga, after that it has been tested. How much percentage of share from GST is given to newly formed territory? It is 1%. Okay. Now listen. How the government, central government is giving or sharing the revenue from one state to another state. It is based on this area, population, forest, tax efforts and income distance. Okay. This base panni da they are going to allocate the revenue from the GST to each and every state. Nama anike paathom top 5 GST compensation states. I think we have wrongly mentioned that day. Okay, it is Punjab. Listen, this is as per the ranking. We are at the 4th place. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Punjab. Right. Now listen, with this chapter 7.1 comes to close. Okay. See, you need the break or we shall go proceed further? We'll finish it too. Right. We'll just get into the second topic. See, it is with reference to market failure. Okay. Listen, market failure abdina, there will be buyer and seller. Okay. Even if any one person is not satisfied, we used to call them as market failure. Okay. See, a market failure might happen from the buyer's effect or from the seller's side. Okay. A government cannot simply watch that. The government is having the responsibility to ensure that there is a minimum market failure. So they must take some steps to ensure that there is no market failure. So adukku ennalam பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்றது தான் இங்க இருக்கு. பாருங்க, what does the term market failure refers to? It is nothing but when the market fails to allocate the resources. Okay. Now listen, there are two major types, complete market failure and partial market failure. Complete market failure is very simple. Just take this example. See, it is just any type of Diwali time and you are going to the market to purchase some crackers. Okay, you are having the money with you, but there is no availability of crackers. Okay, there is no crackers. What will happen? You will come out empty-handed. Reason is there is no availability of concerned product. That is complete market failure. There is missing market. Okay, the market is unable to supply the goods that is being required. Okay, now partial is very simple. You are having money with you and you are going to purchase some type of crackers. There is availability of crackers, but whatever the product that you are requiring, that is not there. Some other type of crackers is being available. That's partial. Okay. Now listen, reasons for market failures. Inga 4 heading irukum. Market power, externality, public goods and incomplete information. The most tested area was this one. Last 2 terms, definite or 2 question. Maximum you will get some 4 questions. Only under this topic alone. Okay. Now listen, market power is otherwise called as monopoly power. Last class we monopoly paathirupom. When one company is having the upper hand, they decide the price and the other company follows that. If that is being happened, then that company alone will earn the profit. The other company will suffer losses. So that is what will happen. Then comes second one, externalities. Idhukku 3 other names irukku: spillover effect, neighbor effect and side effects. Okay, listen, it might look difficult to recollect. Okay, but make sure you write this entire 5 lines. Take some 3 minutes or 4 minutes, write this entire 5 line. Thungiradinga, you look sleepy. Take 5 minutes, take a note of this. Make it quick. Okay ma, we'll just start with basic explanation of externality. Eldadinga, don't take a note, just understand the concept. If you are knowing this, you can very easily write in exam. See, listen, when any type of consumption or production activity, if it is having an indirect effect, okay, and such indirect effect which cannot be measured, then it is called as externality. Then comes, sir, what does the term internal effect refers to? Just look out for this line. Just read it from year to year. Okay, listen. What we can say is, see, an individual is going to switch from normal vegetable to organic vegetable. Okay, so what will happen in a normal scenario? Unless if there is very less number of people consuming organic vegetable, the prices of organic vegetable will be low. But if more people are going to consume organic vegetable, what will happen? There will be more demand for organic vegetable, so that this price will normally increase. Okay, increase aguma adha inga irukum. See, when more people is going to convert from normal to organic vegetable, okay, it will increase the price of organic vegetable and reduce the welfare of existing consumer of organic vegetable. So what will happen is, there will be increase in the price of organic vegetable, even though other people are not buying the organic vegetable. Simple as solnona, if one consumer is consuming organic vegetable, there will be an increase. But if more people are consuming, what will happen? The price should be low, but since there is increase in demand, it is going to indirectly increase the price of organic vegetable. That is what we used to call it as externality. Okay, don't think that it is difficult to recollect. There is one more example. See, there are two types of externality, positive and negative. Okay, now listen, positive externality occur when action of one party is giving the benefit. Negative will occur when the action of one party is going to give cost. Okay, so it will be like this. Positive will give benefit, negative will give cost. Okay, take this example. See, there is a company which is producing and selling goods. Okay, but the wastage of that goods, it has been discharged into the next nearby river. It has been discharged into nearby river. Now what will happen? See, any activity, it might be in agriculture or irrigation or water source, who are dependent on that particular river, they will be affecting. So that is going to give the cost. So that is negative externality. Positive externality is very simple. Just look at this line. A negative production externality occurs when pollution of river, if it is going to affect the fish output. Okay, there will be loss of fish resources. So it is going to give some indirectly cost to the other person. Positive is going to give some benefits. Now listen, you are working in a company. See, just assume that you are working in a company and you are being given training on certain activity. So you will be getting some skills. And the skills you learn pannuvingla. Okay, now you are shifting from one company to the other company. Okay, whether they will ask you to give the skill, no. See, skill is something which will be learned by the person and it cannot be taken from one person to the another. So it is going to give benefits to the person who has undergone the training program. So that is going to give some benefits. So adanga kuduthirukkom, positive will give some benefits, negative will give some cost. Okay, question la irukum. Positive benefits will result in dash to the person. Benefits avladha. You will definitely have a question like subdivision A, cost, benefit irukum. When you will have this doubt is right at the moment when you are sitting in the exam. Positive benefit cost. You will get this doubt. Correct, but certain things has to be memorized. இதிலே ஒரு சிம்பிளா ஒரு ஷார்ட்கட் இருக்கு. Just take up the first two words, first two letters. PB, NC, அவ்வளோதான். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெட்டர் வரைக்கும் வச்சுட்டு ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. தட் இஸ் தி பெட்டர் வே டு ரீகலெக்ட் தி கான்செப்ட். ஓகே, ஸோ இதை இங்கே கொடுத்துருப்போம். தென் கம்ஸ் சோஷியல் காஸ்ட். சி தீஸ் ஆர் ஆல் இட் ஹஸ் பின் நெவர் டெஸ்டட் இன் எக்ஸாம். சோஷியல் காஸ்ட் அப்படின்னா இட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் எ காம்பினேஷன் ஆஃப் ப்ரைவேட் காஸ்ட் அண்ட் எக்ஸ்டர்னல் காஸ்ட். ஓகே, டோட்டல் மட்டும் கேட்டிருப்பான். சோஷியல் காஸ்ட் இஸ் தி காம்பினேஷன் ஆஃப் இருக்கும். கரெக்டாக? ப்ரைவேட் காஸ்ட்னா என்னது? வாட் டஸ் த டைம் ப்ரைவேட் ரெஃபர்ஸ் டு? மேலேயே இருக்குது. ஜஸ்ட் லுக் அவுட் தி below, one line above this. You are manufacturing the goods. For that you will incur some cost. That is private cost. If other third party who is incurring the cost, that is external cost. So it is nothing but a combination of private and external cost. Okay. Public goods. It has never been tested before. For the last two terms, see, public goods it has been tested before. For the past two terms only externalities and Richard Musgrove and the three functions தான் கேட்டிருந்தாங்க. Public goods it has been tested before, so you can expect some questions in this area. Okay, public goods na ரொம்ப very simple. Just assume this. You can very easily give some more explanation of public goods than what I am telling to you. Just listen. You are purchasing on apple. Okay, fruit. Example, I am just going with your own flow. You are having some 20 rupees and you are purchasing on apple. Okay, now what is the benefit you are going to gain? You are going to take that apple. There might be some intake of vitamins which a normal apple will contain. Correct? Now listen, this is a normal economic good. Public goods abdina, just assume this scenario. There is a construction of road. Okay, now first you are walking out, you are using that road, or just assume there is a park which is being constructed. First day you are using that park. Okay, once you come out of the park, the other person is entering the park and is using the park. Whether the value of park is getting reduced? No. Whether do we pay any money for using the park? Indirectly we are paying some amount of taxes to the government. Based on the taxes that we pay, the government is constructing the park. So public goods is available to each and every person, and usage of goods by one person will never affect the value to the other person. If you are recollecting these two lines, that is very well sufficient. Right, now listen. Consumption of public good does not reduce the quality or quantity available for the other person. Classic example, highways, street lights. Right at the time of corona, everyone was given free vaccine. Okay, so if you are using the goods, and if the same good, if some other person is using and there is no any reduction in quantity or quality, adu public goods. இவ்வளவுதான். இதுதான் உங்க புக்ல வந்து ஒரு 4 பேஜ் கொடுத்திருந்தோம். Just recollect the concept, that is well and then sufficient. Okay, but for your exam viewpoint, the nature of public goods might be of something like this. Just give me a second please. One second ma, wait. Now listen, public goods, they are generally non-excludable. See, it cannot be taken out from the public use. Non-rivalrous. Non-rivalrous means it cannot be divisible. ஒருத்தர் யூஸ் பண்ற goods நீங்க யூஸ் பண்ணா it is not going to reduce the benefit. That is what rivalrous. So it is non-rivalrous. Then it is indivisible. It cannot be totally taken away from the market. அவ்வளவுதான். So listen, this is with reference to public goods, and the fourth one was incomplete information. Okay, fourth causes for market failure. Incomplete information, it arises due to complex nature of the product, difficult to get the correct details, and deliberate misinformation by the interested parties. Okay, இது மோஸ்டா எங்க யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படினா with reference to second hand selling goods. Okay, now listen, from this incomplete information there is one subdivision, that is asymmetric information. See, it is very simple. What does the term asymmetric information is? In the event of sale of goods, when one person is having more information than the other person, we used to call them as asymmetric information. Classic example is in case of second hand sale of cars. The owner will know what are all the faults the car is having. So when he is going to sell his car to the outside person, he might purposely hide certain information. அதுதான் வந்து asymmetric information. Okay, இதில் எக்ஸாம்பிளில் வந்து என்ன கேட்டிருக்காங்கன்னா, there is something called as lemons problem by George Akerlof. So it might look something clumsy. அதுவும் கார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் தான். Wait, see, it is nothing but there will be some 3 or 4 lines, right? என்ன ரீசன் அதை சொல்கிறேன் கேட்டுக்கோங்க. See, before getting into what is being discussed here, I will simply say what they are trying to say. See, there are some, just assume you are buying a car. Okay, after some 5 or 6 years, you might either, see, you might sell the car due to many factors. You might feel that car might not be lucky to you, or if there is any type of any unlikely events happening to you, you might feel it is totally unlucky, so I prefer to sell it. Okay, when you are going to sell in the market, if the car is in very good condition, normally we used to sell the car to your relatives or to our friends, because they know, okay, you are going to sell, and we might very well sell it to the well-known person. But even if it is not being sold there, and if it is coming into the market, it is nothing but there is some much more default in the car, defect in the car, and that's why you are going to sell in the outside market. So whatever the goods that is available, okay, just look at this. Second hand cars may be good quality cars or poor quality cars. It is defined as lemons. So while placing it for sale, the seller may not disclose all that he knows about the car. Okay, that is what we used to call as lemons effect. In simple term, lemons effect is nothing but, in the event of selling of cars, even if there is any defect in the car, a good quality car will never come to the second hand market. Since there is some defect in the market and it is coming into the market, it is coming to the outside market for sale. So any car which is available in the outside market will definitely have some defect. So the combination of entire second hand car with the defect, we used to call this lemons effect. Avlodha, simpla. Okay, this is what they are trying to say there. Now listen, just get into this one. If I am finishing this with this, I think 3.2 comes to close. Right, now listen, what are all we have discussed there? Okay, that is just what it is all about. Now to overcome this, how the government is going to take action? It is nothing but government intervention to minimize the 4 market failure. Now listen, market power abdina, one company is having the upper hand. So to avoid this, what the government will do? They will start with Competition Act. They will try to impose more taxes. Okay, if one company is performing very well and they are not giving proper information, they will ask for merger. This will happen in many type of developed countries. Then comes to externality. Externality abdina enna பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, as the example that we have discussed, a company if is discharging their political waste to the nearby river, what they will do? They will impose regulations. They will give some license. See, a license given to production industry, depending upon the nature of goods, it has to be renewed once in every 2 years or 3 years. So the government will have a constant check into the production activity. So இது எல்லாமே government எதுக்கு பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, to ensure that the product that is being manufactured, it should be free from or it should not affect the society. Okay, adile or third line pathina inga irukum, there is something called as pollution taxes. Pollution taxes is an example of dash. Last time example irundhudu, incomplete information, externality, in the 4 subdivision la irundhudu. I could recollect this question, so make sure it belongs to externality. Okay, then comes merit goods. Merit goods na onnu illa, education and health care. See how the government is going to fix some control on this area. First, or medical industry abdina, before entering into India, or even if you are producing in India, you have to get some approval from the medical board and from the government if you are from the foreign country. So you should fulfill the government information, and only satisfying the government condition you will be entering into the market. Now listen, education as of now up to 8th standard, every person should be studying in India. It is only based on Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009. Before that it was up to 5th standard. Now it has been extended to 8th standard from 2009. There is also, when you are going for any movies, right at the beginning, there is something called as health precautionary measure. Paathirkingla? It is nothing with reference to a consumption of alcohol, smoking is injurious to health. Those are all negative advertisement. Okay, it belongs to merit goods. Idhula frequent exam la ketadu one, there is a difference between price floor and price ceiling. Price floor means it is the minimum price the company can charge. Price ceiling is the maximum price the seller can charge. Simple. Price floor, ceiling, idu eppadi thamma neenga padikano. Floor will be, that will be the minimum price, ceiling will be at the top, that will be the maximum price. இப்படி படிச்சீங்கன்னா எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் மெமரைஸ் பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியமே இல்லை. யோசிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? ரைட், incomplete information we have already discussed. Okay, with this chapter 7.2 comes to close. Exactly 3:30, take 15 minutes break. 7.3 and 4, it will never take more than 40 minutes. Reason is it is only with reference to budget. Very easy to go. We have went through some difficult process, so take some 15 minutes and come back. Make sure you are being here by 3:45 at sharp. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, come in. Is my voice audible, ma?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, prior to break, we have completed chapter 7.1 and 7.2. Okay. I think you will be receiving the online link. So if you have not listened to that, don't worry. You have mentioned you had some network issue. Okay. So we'll start with 7.3 and 4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. What's the time, ma? 3:50, ah? Okay. Listen. Very simple. Before we get into this. See, what does the term? Budget refers to. Budget என்ன சொல்லுங்க பாப்போம். One by one, please. நான் சொல்றது புரியுதா? ஒன் பை ஒன்று. இப்போ யாரும் அந்த ஒன் பை ஒன்று தான் பிரச்சனையோ? ஓகே, ஃபஸ்ட்டு அலோகேஷன். அடுத்தது இட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் ரெவன்யூ அண்ட் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர். தென் சொல்லுங்க, கவர்மெண்ட் ஃபண்டிங்கா? நீ எதுவும் சொல்றியாடா? ஃபோன் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கிய? Checking in Google. No issues. See, whatever might be your source, but make sure you get the correct answer in the exam. சொல்லுங்க. For budget, don't go to government and all. Just think from your own family. See. அப்படியா? Just take an example from each and every one of your household. Okay, there will be either your father or mother or even both might be working. Correct? உனக்கு புரியுற மாதிரியே சொல்கிறேன். Just assume that your father is earning some 60k per month. Your mother, I'm just giving it as a lower number. Don't think that male is superior than the female. Don't put me into trouble. Okay. So listen. So it is 1 lakh per month. Okay. This is what? What this 1 lakh rupee? It is the maximum revenue. Okay. See, this amount might either increase or decrease by a smallest margin. It won't decrease by a largest margin. Correct? Now listen, this is the revenue which your parents are earning per month. Based on this, will they take the amount with them, or will they are earning this amount for the entire family? They used to spend this amount for your own family's benefit. What will be the major example for each and every month? Expense. First one will be rent. We'll assume it as some 15k. Okay, see, rent is inclusive of electricity. Then groceries. We'll take mention as provision. Have some 8k. Okay. Then what are all the expenses? Okay. If just assume it's just a normal family which is having some 2 kids. So there is something called as school fees. Say I'm just giving an basic example. School fee will take it as 10k, 5k per child. See, there is called as gasoline. Irka. Without this, how will you get the food? How many times you can order through Swiggy and Zomato? It is rupees 850 848 to 850. In Chennai it is this price, but in some other place it will come close to 1000 rupees. What she is saying is correct. Okay, then what are the other expenses? There is called as petrol. There is called as mobile. There is called as TV or broadband. Everything we are paying, right, for each and every month. EB we have already included in rent. Okay, how much amount? We'll have this as 4K. So see, I'm just giving a rough example. Apart from this, there is one more expense. See, we might spend some money on insurance, RD, recurring deposit. See, a normal family, apart from a monthly income, they will keep some amount for their own financial benefits. We'll have this at some 5K. Now just deduct this. How much? 23, 33, 34, 39, 44. So balance will be 64. Okay. What the 64 is called? It is called as net income. Correct? But normally, do we save this amount? No. See, instead of rent, just assume that they have taken a own house and they are paying EMI. This EMI will be something close to 45. Right? That's a very meager amount. It should be much more than what I am mentioning here. If 2% are earning, 45K EMI is very low amount in Chennai. So I will get something close to, say, I'm just mentioning the rough amount, 30K. Now listen, your income is 1 lakh and your expense is 70K. So that your surplus 30K. Okay, this is how a normal family will be running. But what will happen to this 30K? We will not save this. We will go for any type of lavish spending. Lavish na unwanted or luxury spending. Sumar pama. See, if 30K per month, just assume it was for 5 months. It was 1.5 lakh. Okay, what will your mother will do? Or what? They will go for gold. Okay, or instead, if there is out of 2 children, if one children is a female child, okay, see, the mother will not going to take it for herself. They will normally give it to their children. As of now, 1 gram of 1 sovereign is 70K. If you are purchasing 2 sovereign, this income of 5 months is 0. This is what will happen. See, don't think that there is no saving. At least they have some 2 sovereigns of gold. Okay, but what will happen to the government budget is very simple. I'm just giving an example. See, their income, if it is 1 lakh, okay, their expense will be something close to 1.5 lakh. There will always be deficit of 50K. This is what every government budget will be. Most government will do this. Most developing countries will do this. See, listen, ours is a country where for the past 10-15 years, there is no surplus budget. Every year it is deficit budget. Don't worry. Okay, that's a major difference between household as against the government. Don't come to a conclusion that I am against to any one particular government. This is what will normally happen. எதுக்கு இந்த ரீசன் இன்கம் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் டெபிசிட்லாம் சொன்னேன் அப்படின்னா you had questions. What does deficit budget means? Deficit budget means expense is more than income. You had this question. அதுக்காக தான் சொன்னேன். See, even if you are not able to recollect, at the time of exam, you would be knowing this. Okay, this sir came and he started close to 4 o'clock and he has said something like this. Okay, whatever might be, make sure you get the right answer. That's what I'm trying to say. See, listen. Budget is a statement that presents details on where money comes from and how we are going to expend. It is nothing but income. It is nothing but expense. பாருங்க இருக்கா இவ்வளவுதான் பட்ஜெட் சிம்பிளா see it is not that just assume you are just walking into the road. One layman is asking what does the term budget refers to. You cannot go and say it is a financial document which is prepared by the government of India and it has been presented by the Union Finance Minister. நம்ம பார்த்து சிரிச்சிட்டு போயிடுவான். பட்ஜெட் அப்படின்னா என்னன்னா ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் டைம் பீரியடுக்கு how much income you are going to expect and based on that income how much amount you are going to expend. That is what budget. Simple இவ்வளவுதான் பட்ஜெட்னா என்னன்னா see that's why I taken the example of an household. See unless you have an idea about how much amount you are going to earn, you cannot have an idea or you cannot make an estimation of how much amount you are likely to spend. இதுதான் budget. Now listen. Government budget is a schedule of entire revenue and expenditure which the government is going to make. Okay, now listen, who is going to be giving this budget? Which ministry is going to be responsible? Is Ministry of Finance. Okay, illa idu therlana you are not just a skip of CA and you got to go for some other course. Simple. It is not that I am saying that you shouldn't be knowing this. Every common student must be knowing this. And if you are into professional exam, this is the basic question which you can expect. Okay, now listen, some 15 years back there is something called as Planning Commission. Planning Commission of India. What they will do is, once every government is coming into power, we assume the term of government is 5 years. So they will implement something called as 5-year plan. இதுதான் நம்ம படிச்சிருப்போம். Okay. Okay, but what they have done is from 2014 onwards, this Planning Commission 5-year plan has been changed into Niti Aayog. Do you know the full form? India. So National Institute for Transforming India. Okay, now listen, before a budget is being prepared, the government they are not going to draft the income for, see, the government is not going to use the money for their own benefit. It has to be, no, something has to be done. Yeah, practically the money is not going to be kept only with the government, with the central government alone. It will be shared to each and every state government. So what they will do is, before starting to finalize the budget, they will ask for documents. They will ask the chief minister of every state to come and attend the meeting, and they will be asked to give their own suggestions. Based on that, the central government Ministry of Finance will decide which has to be given priority, and based on that they will frame a budget. Okay, now listen. President, after receiving the finance bill, he has to give his approval. Only then it will become a finance bill. Okay, it is based on this one. Last time we had this question. Article 112 of the Constitution of India deals with dash. Consolidated Fund of India. Demand in grant. I could easily recollect. It is nothing but annual financial statement, AFS. Now listen, there are two major types of budget. At one end you will be having procedures, at other end you will be having process. Okay, listen. Budget procedure is how it has been placed before the parliament. That is what has been there. But what will happen during the presentation of budget is called it as budget process. Administrative process and legislative process. See, administrative processes, that what I have told. Before finalizing the budget, they will make some meeting with many people and they will find out which has to be given the priority. That is administrative process. Legislative processes, how the bill that we are going to implement is going to have a legal validity. So நீங்க பாஸ் பண்ற பட்ஜெட்டுக்கு ஒரு legal power கொடுக்குறீங்கன்னா, that is legislative power. Normally it is on 1st February in which we will be placing the budget. I think it is from 2017 or 18. Before that it is last day of February, 28th or 29th. Okay, Do you know the basic reason behind why it has been done on 1st February or 28th February? Accounts படிச்சிருக்கோம் இல்லையா? What is the financial year? 1st April to 31st March. So what they will do on 28th February, they will start this budget. They will pass this budget, and it will take some 15 days to pass. So it will be roughly around 15th March where this comes into practice. It has to be placed before both the houses of the parliament. So since from 15th March to 31st March there are some 2 weeks gap. So the government is facing very hectic schedule. So what they have done is they have changed this 28th February to 1st February, and mostly by mostly by 20th February this will come into practice. But the accounting year will start only from 1st April. That's why they are doing this. I think this was only for the past some 10 to 11 years. Before that, do you know when they will pass the budget? At what time they will pass the budget, தெரியுமா? ஏன்டா எப்படி சொல்றீங்க? It is not on night. See, listen. Before India got independence, we are under British rule. Correcta? Santoshmada? Before we came into independence, we are under British rule. So what British was done was when they are controlling our country, their main role was our budget is normally presented by afternoon 2 p.m. It is nothing but morning 10 or 10:30 at the UK. That is what they have done. Okay, I think I'm not sure about the exact year. I think only when Vajpayee came into power, he changed the tradition and he has done that into morning 10 a.m. The tradition has been followed for some 60-70 years, even after we are in independence. He was the first person to change that scenario. Okay. So that is what budget is all about. We'll just have a detailed idea. Now listen. See, as I have already told, budget will be presented right at the time of 1st February. So some 1 month or 2 months prior to this, there will be a meeting of finance minister with chief minister and finance minister of every state, various stakeholders. Based on that only they will be preparing the budget. Now listen, a budget will consist of 3 major areas. Take a note, take some 2 minutes, take a note, you will definitely have a question. First, budget estimate abdina, how much revenue we are going to expect. Second, current year through revised budget. Third one is the previous year, how much we have received. Reason why this has been studied is very simple. Budget abdina, how much revenue that you are going to expect and how much that you are likely to spend. See, for the amount that we have spent, we would have been having the document. But how much revenue we have been earned, we need certain documentations to be done by the government and should be placed before the parliament. So past year la ungalku evlo revenue vandhudu abindratha you must be in a position to give some documentary evidence. Quick ma, make it quick. It's already 4:10. Try to wind up by 4:45. Very easy topic, man. You will not pay more attention. That's why I'm rushing it off. Finished? Kavin, if you have any doubts, you can either unmute and you can get the questions, you can give the questions, or you can just type in the message. சீக்கிரம் எழுதுங்கடா டேய். Kavin, you will get the PDF, don't worry man. I'll ask institute to send you the material, don't worry. முடிச்சிட்டிங்களா? இந்த எக்ஸாமுக்கு ஹேண்ட் ரைட்டிங் சம்மந்தமே இல்லை. நம்ம பாரு, நீ எப்படி எழுதினாலும் சரி, என்ன எழுதினாலும் சரி, கரெக்டான ஆன்சராக ஷேட் பண்ணு ஓஎம்ஆர் ஷீட்டில், அவ்வளோதான். மேக்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு அப்ஜெக்டிவ் டைப்பாடா? இல்லையா, அவங்க எடுத்தது பார்த்தா கஷ்டப்பட்டு என்சிஆர் பி பவர் ஆர் கியூ பவர் என் மைனஸ் ஆர் என்னமோ எடுத்திருந்தாங்க காலில், கஷ்டப்பட்டு எடுத்திருந்தாங்களே. இல்லைப்பா, நம்ம எப்படி எடுக்கிறோன்னு தெரியணும்ல. அவங்க ரொம்ப லெவலாக எடுத்தாங்க, நம்ம அந்த லெவலுக்கு போகணுமே அப்படின்னு தான். உங்களை பற்றி எனக்கு தெரியும் எப்படி எடுத்தால் தெரியும்னு. இல்லை, ஆக்சுவலாக அவங்க எடுத்த மேக்ஸ் சூப்பராக எடுத்திருந்தாங்க, நீங்கள் எப்படி புரிஞ்சுக்கிறீங்கன்னு தெரில. சரிப்பா, வேறு நான் காலேஜ் பசங்களுக்கு சொல்கிறது தான், உனக்கும் சொல்ல நல்லா இருந்தால் சரி, அவ்வளோதான். ஓகே, வில் ஜஸ்ட் கெட் இன் டு தி சம் டீடைல்டு analysis of budget. Now listen, see, whenever a budget is being passed, we will normally look for this one, how much tax benefit that we are going to get from the budget. இதுதான் நம்ம எல்லாருமே எதிர்பார்ப்போம், கரெக்டா? But that alone was not the budget. See, to be honest, that is just the minor portion of the budget. See, tax proposal is nothing but revenue expected, correcta? Therliya adu? Thank you. See, it is nothing but the revenue expected, right, from the taxpayers. But the major portion lies with here. It gives the macroeconomic situation. Irka, simply ennan ketana, it is going to give some detail on expenditure. How much amount we are going to expend for different sectors, that holds the major area, right? Now listen, inga pathinga illaya, what does the term budget? It is having three major area: budget estimate, current year and actuals. Ana from your exam viewpoint, annual financial statement will normally have three major areas. We used to call it as CFI, Consolidated Fund of India, Contingent Fund of India and Public Account. Then comes, see, actually this session should be read at a broader note. நீங்க தெளிவா படிக்க வேண்டியது எதுன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா இது. So just get into the page number, wait. Irka, this is what I have given it in simplest form. Right, listen, there is three major documents that will be done: annual financial statement, demanded for grants and finance bill. I think we might be knowing these three. This was the new concept. இது நம்ம எங்கேயுமே கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கவே மாட்டோம், கரெக்டா? Don't worry, that is the area where they will ask question. போன டைம்ல ஒரு question இருந்தது. Macroeconomic framework statement is the scheduled statement under which act? Competition Act அப்படின்னு சொல்லி இருந்தது, FBRM Act. No one would have noticed this because our major focus lies with these three area. Okay, அதான் என்ன பண்ணிட்டேன்னா இங்க வேற மாதிரி கொடுத்துருப்பேன். So it is not that you haven't studied, but you haven't given some proper attention to what has to be looked into. அதான் சொல்ல வரேன். See, major questions which we expect was from these three areas: consolidated fund, contingent fund and public account. But they will test you in some detailed form. It is with reference to, listen, இதில் இருக்குல்ல subdivision 1 and 2, macroeconomic framework statement, medium term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy management. Why it has been asked is very simple. Contingent fund, consolidated fund, public account, all those are dealing with expenses. This one, it is totally with reference to economics. Our paper is economics, not income tax. Correct? So our core area is where? That's why they are testing you on this. நம்மளுக்கு அடுத்த ஒரு கேள்வி இருக்கும், why they ask this and why they are not asking to this area. This might be a major component, but for our own exam, this is where you have to give some more attention. நல்லா பார், வேற எங்கேயாவது எக்கனாமிக்ஸ்ன்ற வார்த்தை இருக்கா, ஃபிஸ்கல் பாலிசின்னு இருக்கா, தெரியுதா where we are lagging in the exam na? Right? Now listen. See, apart from these documents, there are some 9 other documents in nature of explanatory statement. It should be prepared by the Ministry of Finance and placed before the Parliament. Now listen, there is one major thing that has to be kept in mind. Listen, just look out for this line. In Rajya Sabha, only discussion on budget is being done. They are not giving the vote, especially on DG. DG means demand in grand. Okay, now listen. We normally used to see a finance minister will give a speech for some 5 to 6 hours and then the budget will be passing. No, that is not the practical scenario. See, once the budget speech is given by the finance minister, it will be placed before discussion in both the houses. Okay, after it has been approved, it will be called as appropriation bill. Appropriation எங்கே படிச்சிருக்கோம் ஞாபகம் இருக்கா? Financial accounts, P&L appropriation account. What does it refers to? See, whatever may be the net profit, how much amount is being transferred to various types. It might be reserve, it might be dividend. Irka? So any amount that is being transferred from the net profit, we used to call it appropriation. Similarly, even though a bill is being passed, after getting approval, it will be transferred to a new name called appropriation bill. And the appropriation bill motunda, just look out for the next line. The appropriation bill gives the authority to government to take money from the government fund. So on the appropriation bill pass agala abdina, you are not authorized to take the money. So it is not finance bill, it is appropriation bill. Exam la question irukku. நம்ம என்னத்தமா பண்ணுவோம், சப்டிவிஷன் ஏ ஃபினான்ஸ் பில், கன்சல்டன்ட் ஃபண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா, கண்டிஜென்ட் ஃபண்ட் அப்படின்னா கன்சல்டன்ட் ஃபண்டு தான் டிக் பண்ணு, கிடையாது, இட் இஸ் appropriation bill. See, appropriation bill is giving you the legal authority to take the money. ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க, it has never been asked. Now listen, finance bill அப்படின்னா it gives effects to taxation proposal given by the finance minister. So normally the appropriation bill is having the more value. Now listen, இங்க இருக்கா, parliament to pass the finance bill within 75 days. But normally for the past 10 years it is not taking 75 days, since they are in absolute majority, they are passing it less than 15 days. So the maximum time which the constitution is given as 75 days. But practically no government will take 75 days. 75 days na just assume neenga February 1st to start பண்றீங்க, 75 days na it will run close to April 14th. When you will be passing the act and when it is coming into practice? No. So it will take difficult time. Then comes the most easiest area under this topic, sources of revenue. See how the government is getting revenue, it is only through two major boards. I am not saying this is the major revenue, they are getting revenue from some other sites also, but the major chunk come from these sites. First, GST, income tax, excise, customs. IGST படிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? Union territory. Non-tax revenue is government will have certain, they would have invested their money in some other foreign country. Based on that they will be getting interest and dividend. So that will also form part of revenue. Then comes public expenditure management. This is what economics is having a huge role. Okay, now listen. Public expenditure management means it's a process that allows the government to be financially responsible. See how the government is having a responsible behavior in expending the amount that has been available with them. உங்க கையில வர காசை நீங்க எப்படி செலவு பண்றீங்கன்றது தான் வந்து public debt management இல்ல public expenditure management. There is a separate department under Ministry of Finance. போன தடவை கேட்கல, but you can expect this. There is something called it as Department of Expenditure of the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance la or separate department irukku, Department of Expenditure, and they are responsible for overseeing central government and state government expenditure. Every government should get approval from them. Only based on their approval they are eligible to spend the amount. So make sure you have an idea about this. Now listen, apart from this, there is something called as Audit Committee, Central Pay Commission. They also comes under Ministry of Finance to ensure that they are following the rules and regulation. Okay, now listen, central government irukana, they will be having certain expenditure. It has been classified into 6 major category. Adha inga irukku. Practically using it, don't memorize this concept, just have an idea about you are having the control of government. What are all the expenses that you will have? First, for running the government, there will be government employees, there will be judges, president, higher persons who are having the topmost position in the bureaucracy. Avangalோட expense irukka? Everything is paid by central government, so it is expenses of the center. Then central government will have their own company. See, many oil companies, it is nothing but central government company. Okay, so for that, to run those companies, you need some fund. It has to be given by the central government. Apart from this, they are also in a position to give the money to the state government. So அது எல்லாமே இங்க இருக்கும். இங்க பாருங்க, expenses of the center, central sector schemes. Similarly, see, there is something called as in Tamil Nadu 100 நாள் வேலை வாய்ப்பு திட்டம் சொல்லுவாங்க, பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? It is actually a scheme initiated by the central government, but the work will be done throughout India. The salary will be paid by central government and it will be transferred from the central government to the state government. The state government will transfer it to the concerned workers. Okay, we used to call it a centrally sponsored scheme. So this is how it has to be done. Okay, most important area, public debt management. Listen, there is a difference between public expenditure management and public debt management. Expenditure management na உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு செலவாகுமோ அதை எப்படி நீங்க efficient யூஸ் பண்றீங்க. That is, how much of the expenditure you are going to be spending towards. That is public expenditure management. Public debt management is the government would have already borrowed certain money. We are required to pay interest. How we are going to make efficient use of current resources to pay the interest. That is what debt management. Romba simple. Anga expenditure, here it is debt. Now listen, for expenditure there is a separate department called as Ministry of Expenditure. Here there is no separate department. Listen, the government debt from internal and external sources results in contraction of consolidated fund of India. Okay, so normally what will happen? See, practical example. See, we know that metro rail is being implemented in almost every cities in India. Whether the government is having sufficient fund with them, no. What they will do? They will go into an agreement and they will ask for foreign fund. Okay, for that we need to pay interest. It is a debt. That's an example of debt. Listen, the government will raise or borrow funds. It is called it as financial fiscal deficit. See, fiscal is nothing but related to public. Financial fiscal means finance with reference to public debt. Avlodha. How we are going to control this? See, it is not micro, it is totally a macro activity. Question le irukku. It plays a crucial role in macroeconomic stability. Don't think it is micro. See, you might be knowing this. We are into the 7th chapter, so you might very well have a basic bifurcation between micro and macro. It is not micro, it is macro. Now listen, to meet the central government financing needs at a lower cost and also to have a sustainable level of debt, it is always advisable to have a vibrant debt market. See, vibrant debt market is very simple. How we are going to repay the amount at the least way possible, number one. Number two, how we are going to get the loan at the lowest interest rate possible. See, very simple. First, we have to make payment, okay, as early as possible. Number 2, we have to get highest fund at the lowest rate. Both will come under debt management. Okay, this is what debt management is all about. Now listen, there are 3 pillars of debt management strategy. இது அங்கே பார்த்ததுதான். Lowest borrowing cost. Risk mitigation na risk reduction. See, for example, you are going to borrow some 1,000 crores. One person is asking 15% interest. Other person is asking 10% interest. Whom we will look for? We will look for 10%. Correct? So there is a risk of 1,000 crore, but we try to reduce the risk by paying less amount of interest. That is what risk mitigation is all about. Now listen. Institutions responsible for debt management. RBI, Ministry of Budget, Finance Budget Division. There is a question: why apart from Ministry of Finance, there is RBI is coming into play? Any reason theriyuma? My reason is very simple. See, expenditure we are making it on our own fund, so there is no requirement of foreign fund. Whereas in repayment, mostly our borrowings will be from foreign country. Who is having the sole control of foreign exchange reserve? That's why RBI comes into play. Purida. Apart from this, the Ministry of Finance is having one more division for this one. Okay. இப்போ நம்ம ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா, right at the time we started the budget, we have taken an example of household income and expenditure. The same case, if it is being applied to government, what will happen? See, a balanced budget is revenue is equal to expenditure. See, balanced budget, revenue is equal to expenditure. Okay, if it is not equal to each other, it is unbalanced. Okay, see, if receipt is greater than expense, it is surplus, and if revenue is less than expense, it is deficit. See, normally many budget will be deficit. Enna reason kettingana romba simple. For budget, when you are going to start to preparing a budget, what we will do is we will compare the previous year amount as the base. The previous year namakku or amount vandirukku appadina, we will assume that you will get the minimum previous amount that we have received, plus we will assume some 10% or 15% increase. Based on that, you will be having an estimated income. Expenses, it is totally under our own control because we know how much amount we are going to expend. What will happen in the normal cases, sometimes the revenue that we are going to expect, we will never touch that money itself, so that it will indirectly have a deficit budget. Most cases, it will be deficit budget. Then comes this area, which I am not going to explain to you. It was studied in your accounting. Capital receipt, revenue receipt. Capital receipt is having an impact for more than 1 year. And if it has been for less than 1 year and if it is being repetitive, it is revenue. It is not something that you have not studied. Only area is with reference to the last line. It is with reference to fiscal deficit. See, fiscal deficit is nothing but capital receipt minus borrowings. Fiscal deficit na enna artham? It is with reference to public finance. Correct? So, it is nothing but total expenditure minus revenue, excluding the borrowings. Why borrowings is excluded? Theriyuma, they have specifically excluded the borrowings with this. Borrowings is having an impact only at the expenditure, not at the budget. Correct? You should interconnect the concept. Okay. There is one major concept. Last time the question irundhudu. I was waiting for this one. How to pronounce this? Guillotine. I think U is silent if I am not wrong. Guillotine. Guillotine, I am not ரொம்ப simple. Just don't look out for see, in your institute study material, it was like it will just show the page, and don't think that it is not it's a difficult concept to understand. Just give me a second, please. This is what has been given in our material. See, to be honest, what will happen in a normal scenario of budget is very simple. See, a budget is not something where each and every item of transaction will be discussed. Anything which is having a major impact alone will be discussed. Any minor activity or anything which we think it is not going to have a major impact, it will never be discussed. So what they will do is, in order to avoid the time, because we have a limited time for parliament activity, what they will do is, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, he will make adding up all the outstanding demand for grant. He will just collate the entire activity which hasn't been discussed separately. அதாவது எதெல்லாமே வந்து ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டாக இல்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ அது எல்லாத்தையும் டோட்டலாக கொலேட் பண்ணி they will just ask it as a single question and it will be going for the voting. That process is called as skeleton. Simple. Okay. Now listen. There are three major areas which has to be discussed. This three. Just zoom in. Wait. Listen. Consolidated Fund of India அப்படினா very simple. Whatever may be the income that you are going to expect, everything will fall under only this category. Okay. See, just look out the wordings. Consolidated means it is totaling up. So the entire totaling up of overall fund, it is Consolidated Fund of India. Okay. Only from this area where the government will take the money for expenditure. This is the first category. Then comes contingency. Contingency means what? Emergency or unlikely or uncertain events. So to take the money from Contingent Fund of India, it is normally disposed by President of India. For consolidated fund, see, to take money from this, you need Parliament approval. You need Parliament approval. Whereas to take money from this one, it is the President who has to decide whether to give money or not. Reason is very simple. Parliament will be normally taking place at certain times. குறிப்பிட்ட டைம் மட்டும் தான் பார்லிமெண்ட் நடக்கும். Just imagine something like a major earthquake or any national calamity is being happening. You cannot wait for the parliament to assemble and you can take money from that. What they will do is, in order to meet the emergency expenses, they will get the approval from the president and they will give the money. Then you will be having one question. You are taking money from contingency fund. So there will be reduction in money. Contingent fund வந்து காசு எடுத்துட்டோம், பிரசிடென்ட் கிட்ட அப்ரூவல் வாங்கிட்டு. அதுக்கு அடுத்து என்ன பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா, ஆஃப்டர் தி பார்லிமெண்ட் இஸ் அசம்பிளிங் ஒன்ஸ் அகெயின், the parliament will have to transfer, they have to approve the money taken from the contingent fund. So whatever the money that has been taken from contingent fund, it should be again received from the consolidated fund. You should make sure that the contingent fund is having the same amount from one year to the other. Simple solna, it is nothing but transfer to reserve to meet any emergency reserve, to meet any emergency situations. Okay. Then comes public account. Last time exam la question irundhudu. Public account comes under which article? 212, 213, 266, 264 and more. It is 266 per 1. Next, public account edukku use பண்றோம் அப்படினா, see, it is not that the government is having the control. The government is just acting as a banker. Classic example, PF. EPF இருக்கு இல்லையா? The government is having the control. The government is, see, the government will establish the PF company, PF office. The company will deposit the money in the PF. Company, ரொம்ப சிம்பிள், அது அவ்வளோ கஷ்டம்லாம் கிடையாதுடா. Just listen. See, Government of India. Okay. PF office. And then employees. And then employers. Okay. நீங்கள் ஒரு கம்பெனியில் ஒர்க் பண்ணுறீங்க. The employer will pay money to the PF. Correcta? They will deduct certain percentage of your salary and they will deposit the money in the PF office. Whether we can take the money? No. What the employee will do, he cannot go and approach the employer for PF. He can only approach the PF office. Okay, so this PF is nothing but, see, you cannot give this power to any private company. So to have this company, to have a control, the government will be in a position to control. Okay, classic example is PF. It is nothing called as public account. Okay, இது நம்ம எல்லாத்துக்குமே தெரியும், but this is the interconnecting link. Okay, I think with this 7.3 comes to close. Okay, most important area which we think, but it has been never tested in large area. Reason why it has been never tested is it is not at all a new concept. It is not at all a new concept. The reason why it has been included is there is an interconnecting link between budget, fiscal policy. So how we are going to interconnect the budget with the fiscal policy? அதுதான் இங்க படிக்கிறீங்க. Right? Fiscal policy ஓட meaning பாருங்க. It is the policy of the government in the instrument of tax expenditure in order to have patterns of demand, output and economic activity. Take 2 minutes, 4:39, take some 2 to 3 minutes, take a note of these 2 lines, quick. Okay, ma. We'll just start for the last topic. Okay, it's already 4:50. Ma, listen. Fiscal policy is the policy of the government towards government funding. This we have படிச்சிட்டோம். But how it is going to be interrelated with the economics? That is why it has been asked in the exam. Okay, just recollect what you have studied from 3 o'clock. Sorry, 2 o'clock. There is no word on demand, output. இது எதுவுமே நம்ம பார்த்ததே கிடையாது. Right from the time we have started today's class. Okay, it is the interconnecting link between finance with the economics. That's fiscal policy. Now listen. What are all the major objectives? First one is price stability, economic growth, distribution of income and wealth, full employment. இது எல்லாமே நம்ம புதுசா பார்க்கலன்னா it is nothing but allocation, distribution, stabilization. அதோடைய abridged version தான் இங்க. நல்லா பாத்தீங்கன்னா what are all the components of those three subdivision, it has been listed here. Okay, this topic itself will look like something repetitive. Last class பார்த்தோமா 4 sector economy, C plus I plus G plus net export. அதுதான் வந்து fiscal policy. இது நான் last classல எடுத்துட்டேன். Right. Then comes the next topic, expansionary and contractionary policies. இன்னைக்கு ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போது எடுத்தேன். During recession, what the government will do, they will reduce the tax and increase the expenditure. இது அப்படியே இந்த பேஜ்ல இருக்கும் பாரு. கான்ட்ராக்ஷனரி இல்ல இங்க தோ இருக்கா? இவ்வளவுதான். எக்ஸாம்ல இந்த மாதிரி क्वेश्चंस it has been keep on following. The government will decrease the tax and increase the expenditure with the main aim of making the money available to the common person. மக்கள் கிட்ட காசு அதிகமா இருந்தா it will indirectly they will purchase more goods, there will be more sale and the economy will become stable. இதோட ஆப்போசிட் தான் during inflation. See, it will be like there will be increase in tax and decrease in expenditure. It will be opposite of what you have studied there. அதனால தான் நான் அங்க எடுக்கும்போது என்ன பண்ணா I have given some 2 or 3 minutes of valid time so that I need not repeat this once again. அடுத்து instrument of fiscal policy. இந்த நாளும் எங்கேயோ பார்த்துருக்கோம் இருக்கா? Just at the previous topic 7.3 பட்ஜெட்ல என்னென்னலாம் இருக்கும்? பட்ஜெட்டு, கவர்மெண்ட் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர், பப்ளிக் டெப்ட் இருக்கா? அதே தான். There is no new into this. Right. Wait. This was the one. Last time you had this question. In the question specific, that's why I have written here. Ma, tax அப்படினா என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படினா, see, when you are purchasing any goods, you are liable to pay duty or tax, GST. But what about the income that you have earned? So, if your income is exceeding a certain limit, which has been mentioned by the government over the past 12 months, you are liable to pay tax. Okay, now listen. Any tax that we are paying towards goods and services, it is indirect, whereas the taxes that you are paying on your income, it is the direct contribution from the person to the government. அதனால தான் கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க, it is a disposable income in the hands of public. Each and every person will know how much amount he is paying for his own income. அதனால தான் அது உங்களுக்கு முக்கியமான விஷயம். Public debt நான் சொல்லிட்டேன், how the government is borrowing the public debt. Here components of public debt இருக்கு. T bills அப்படின்னா government bill, government bonds, இதெல்லாமே நம்ம படிச்சிருப்போம். National saving certificates. See, any type of savings and minor loans which is taken care by the government. See, by the government, it is public debt. Okay, then comes fourth one, budget. நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பார்த்தது தான். Most important area which has never been tested in exam. See, listen. Fiscal policy for long run economic growth. So long run la, if you are going to make a frequent income or economic growth, means how we are going to make increase in growth in the long term. First area was to create high amount of education and healthcare. Okay, see, only if the population is staying fit and good, they would be in a position to provide certain services. Our country is totally labor extensive, so there must be some basic amount of investment in healthcare and education. That's why your government is spending more amount on these two. Okay, then listen, there is increment in environment taxes. இது என்னது? See, there are three major components. First, human, then comes environment, then comes production. இது மூணுமே இருந்தனா you will get the growth. See, for increasing the human benefit, there must be basic amount of spending on healthcare and education. And to have a better environment, there is something called as taxes on environment. Government will have strict regulations, license, pollution control. இதெல்லாமே வந்து என்னன்னா, it has been done to safeguard the people as well as the environment. Only if these two are met, then the government will have an efficient production system. நல்லா கவனிச்சிங்கன்னா தெரியும், even in Tamil Nadu, electricity வந்து நல்லா கவனிச்சிங்கன்னா, if you are investing some amount in solar panel, they'll give you some amount of subsidy. Why they are doing this? See, if they are manufacturing their own electricity, it is having an impact on the environment. Solar panel is not going to have any impact, so that's why they are encouraging everyone to indulge in those activities. So if there is very good investment in human capital and environment plus production activity, you will get the growth at the long run. Last subdivision is how to reduce the inequalities in income and wealth. See, there will be different sections of peoples in the society: lower class, middle class, upper middle class, and elite people. So how we are going to reduce this difference between the people? The standard example is each and every state government measure. Listen, there is something called it as free medical care. Almost every state government in India, they are having health insurance cover in the name of the government. It is done to ensure that the people are going to be in a position to offer the medical services. There is something called as poverty alleviation program. See, how we are going to reduce the poverty? It is based on giving them opportunity. See, it is not that, see, many people, they are in poverty, doesn't mean they doesn't have the proper skill, they doesn't have the proper education. That's why they started giving education to everyone. And then if they are more than 30 or 40 years, they won't be in a position to go and study. So what they will do is, to have a fixed regular income, they used to have something called a self-help group. சுய உதவி குழுக்கள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? It was all nothing but you are going to give the transfer of money with the government to the common public, and how you are going to transfer them from the poverty to the next higher society. Then comes social security schemes, PF, gratuity. See, many governments, many state governments has given this scheme. Above 60 years, monthly they will receive some pension from the government. It is not that they should be a government employee. முதியோர் உதவித்தொகை கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? மாற்றுத்திறனாளி உதவித்தொகை. இது எல்லாமே என்னன்னா, it is nothing but you are going to uplifting the people from the current situation to the next best highest level possible. Everything will come under reducing the inequalities of income and wealth. இது எல்லாமே உனக்கு ஏற்கனவே தெரியுமான்னு கேட்டா, you will be knowing this, but how it has been used in economics is like this. Now listen, there is something called as progressive rate of taxation. Higher tax for higher income. This has been done to ensure that the person who is earning a higher income is contributing, is paying more taxes to the government. What the government will do, by getting the taxes from the same person who is paying higher tax, they will be diverting that money to the person who are having the lower income. So that's why there is a transfer of revenue from the higher income person to the lower income person. That's how the standard of living will shift from one person to other. இதுதான் வந்து சிலபஸ்ல இருக்கு. Okay, limitation of fiscal policy. See, listen, it has never been tested. Okay, but I have just given it in a single line format: recognition lag, decision lag, implementation lag, and impact lag, and the meaning is being given here. See, decision lag அப்படினா, when you are going to approach the government for having one particular project, they cannot take the decision on their own. They will be having their own protocols, and it will take a certain time period to get it approved. And everyone knows there is a lack of bureaucracy. Everything will come under this area. See the last one, that's why I kept it at the last. Last two terms, there is definitely one question on this, crowding out effect. Very simple. Just take this example. Assume the scenario, it is in recession. Recession la irukna government enna pannum? They will reduce the tax and they will increase the government expenditure. Increase the government expenditure and they will give more loan. Correct? Now listen, if the government is not giving loan, what he will do? He will approach the private person who are giving the loan. Correct? Private person will normally charge a higher interest. Okay, but now listen, you don't have sufficient money. The government is giving you loan at a lower interest. Whereas the private, they are also willing to give a loan, but they are at the higher interest. அப்போ நீங்கள் யார்கிட்ட இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்டுக்கு போவீங்க? லோன் யார்கிட்ட போவீங்க? You will look out for government because the interest is at a lower rate. So what will happen is there will be more provider of funds. Since the government is giving loans, the private market or the private person were unable to find a suitable person for taking loan. That effect is called as crowding out effect. Simple என்ன சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னா, there are more loans, more private loans, but there are no takers. அவ்வளோதான். So since private loans is more in number, it is called it as crowding out effect. அவ்வளோதான். The same question has been asked and these two lines. Simply words, increase in government spending will leads to crowd out private spending. So என்ன சொல்ல வராங்க அப்படின்னா, since the government is giving more loans, the private operators, they do not find a proper person to get the loan. There will be more amount which cannot be taken by the customers. அதுதான் வந்து crowding out effect. இதுக்கு இன்னொன்று ரெசஷன் அப்படின்னா என்னது? ரொம்ப சிம்பிள். ரெசஷன் மீன்ஸ் தேர் வில் பி லார்ஜ் அமௌண்ட் ஆஃப் அன்எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட். அன்எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட் அதிகமாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா இன்கம் அதிகமாக குறையுமா? குறையும். அதுதான் இங்கே இருக்குது. முடிஞ்சிருச்சு. See, unemployment means there is no money. So there is no money, there will be shortfall in income. அவ்வளோதான். There is a question some 2 years back. Recession is the combination of increase in unemployment and increase in income, decrease in income irundhathu. That's why it has been given here. With this chapter 7 comes to close. Next week if you have 3 classes, chapter 8 and 9 will be completed. More or less by April 20 or 24 or at least by the next 2 weeks we'll complete the syllabus. Because I know you had much other subjects to be covered. So I'll try to complete it off as early as possible. Any doubts? No. Okay, ma. If there is no doubts, you can leave. Kavin, any doubts, Kavin?
No, sir.
Yeah, I'll just share the PDF through the institute. I'll just inform them. Thank you, Kavin. Yeah, thank you. Polama.